Sir, we support this bill. We support this bill. And we want to use this basically in one sentence, what is this bill? It's giving a longer time for teachers to be trained. So 2015 it's taken retrospectively. So 4 years to that, it takes it up to 2019. I would have been happier standing here today in 2015 if the minister had brought this bill in 2015, allowed for 4 years, it would have given a better chance. No politics with education when it comes to Bengal. So I want to make some observations not only on this bill but beyond, because we have a chance today to speak on this right to education. So the first thing is, I hope we don't have to come back here in 2019 to again bring an amendment to this bill to ask for it another 2 years. The second option obviously could be is that you leave that option to the state governments. Sir, the bill is not the issue, or the Right to Education Act is not the issue. I was a little disappointed because Vinayji normally stays above the politics, but today he got into the politics of it. I'm not here to get into the politics of it. I think ideation, implementation, where we have all failed. We have collectively failed. As parliamentarians, as parents, as teachers, as educationists, we have all failed. We've had a bill. Now let's focus where we haven't implemented the bill very well. Sir, because if we had implemented the bill well, today if you look at it, the survey which has been done, a class 5 student is actually the level of a class 2 student. 3 out of 5 students in the 3rd standard, sir, they can't do a basic subtraction. 4 out of 5 students, sir, can't do division. So these are as a collective failure. Now the issue here, sir, is the teachers. In my state in West Bengal, this extra time which the minister is giving, we've been very proactive with this. We've appointed 80,000 teachers in the last 6 years. 50,000 about in the primary and about 28,000 in the secondary. So things are going well there, sir. But I wish to flag the first point about the time which you've given 2 years, and I have to make 3 more basic points on the right to education. Sir, history is a great learner. All my friends here, what were their views? This is an important here, sir. 1976, after the emergency of 75. This is an important year. Because till 1976, education was a state subject. It was only in 1976, you come to your own conclusions, that it was put onto the concurrent list. In that spirit, I hope that this government, when they view education, is viewing it as originally in the state list, now slipped into the concurrent list. Sir, so the state sometimes need to have the independence to take calls on RTE. Let me give you one example. Is the detention policy? Sir, when I talk about I didn't mean to say it in that way. I was just giving you a fact that in 1975, 76, 78, I'm not trying to make any political point here. That's not my purpose. I was just saying the bigger point here is on the concurrent list. Let's take a view, for example, on detention policy. The minister has written to everybody, not the minister has written, but there's a policy on detention. My state's policy is very, very clear. We've written to the minister. We do not believe in, just one second. We do not believe in automatic promotion. You know, just saying there'll be no detention is not the answer. We don't mean to deprive anybody, but our honest suggestion is that that does not mean we will deprive the students. If the boys or girls are getting detained, we have to have special classes, we have to give them special inputs and then bring them up to the level. So our point on this is very, very clear, sir, on detention. Sir, I would like to thank the minister for clarifying one thing again, because that caused a lot of concern and sometimes the media also has to be a little more responsible. He did clarify later, and I know he did, but I want to put it on record here, that NCERT books will be compulsory on the NCERT books will be compulsory in the CBSE curriculum. Now that is again impeding on state rights, but the minister did clarify and I have no issues with that, sir. Sir, in fact, these exam boards, be it the NEET, where they made a complete mess of, the CBSE made a complete mess of the NEET, Or now, at least till 2 days ago, I was hearing the ICSE board were trying to give examinations for class 5 students and class 8 students. So this again goes against the basic principles of this act, because section 30 of this act clearly states that you cannot have children class 5 to 8. So this is where the states have a role to play. Sir, we've looked at it from different views. Sir, I will take 1 minute, maybe 2, to now look at it. I know they are the favorite bashing boys or girls of all of us, is the private schools. Because as Vinayji said quite correctly, the minority schools quite correctly and rightly have been kept away. So we call them minority schools, but actually they are the majority schools. They may be run by a minority community, say the Christian schools, but the most of the boys and girls who go there, including so many of us in this house, have received a majority education. I want to dwell a little, sir, on the private schools. Not to make a point for the private schools, but this is where I firmly believe, passionately believe, that to make this work, we have to make it work together. Now, what happens, and I've got some suggestions, I don't have the answers to all of them, but maybe the minister can meet the stakeholders and look for these suggestions. First suggestion, what happens in a school where you say 25%, I've got 400 students in class 1, so 100 have to be as per RTE. Now, those and 300 regular. 100 students, when they are not taken, sir, what will you do? Those seats get empty. We cannot ask I'm not suggesting we ask the schools to fill it up with normal students, means regular. I say we need to talk to schools, because private schools have to take this up as a responsibility. One, sir, the private schools, as per the Act, neighborhood students is what they can take. So just, these are serious points of beyond any level of politics that we make.
Please conclude as possible.
The neighborhood schools, sir, this is where sometimes also the private schools are facing. The private schools, number one, have to look at this as a corporate social responsibility. They have to go out and look for students. Just putting up a notice in school saying, Vagera, 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 25% is reserved, oh no. I suggest very humbly to the private schools to please go out proactively and look for students. So the third point, there are local officers today, and I say this with responsibility, who are giving certificates, having children admitted into the schools, and then taking flush money from the back. So not acceptable. The fourth point, sir, is uniforms. Again, I appeal to the private schools. If you're taking these students, I know the Act says they don't need uniforms, but once they don't have uniforms, they stand out. I don't expect them to pay for the uniforms. I appeal to the private schools to please pay for those uniforms. Make them look like the rest of you. Sir, and the last point is the most serious point, and I don't think we're going to finish it here in a discussion. There are serious social, psychological issues of getting boys and girls from different economic backgrounds to sit together in a school. I don't have the answer, but I think we need to seriously discuss this, debate this, and not win any political points, because at the end of it all, sir, for this right to education to be successful, doesn't matter whether you're sitting this side or this side, and I know this government loves using acronyms, different acronyms, so I've got one for them today, sir, as I end. We need to do STEP. S-T-E-P-P. S, the schools have a role to play. T, the teachers have a role to play. E, the educationists or the maliks of the schools have a role to play. And P is a double P. Parliament has a role to play, and parents have a role to play. And I would appeal to the minister, if you can get these 5 stakeholders on board, we can change the lives of the children of India. Sir, that's what I was suggesting. Sorry, since you gave me 10 seconds. The period also, if we'll come back here in 2019, if you want to make it to 2021, to make it realistic.
Yeah.